I'm really glad all of y'all are here. Y'all have been big supporters of this project, and we really want to kind of pay it back to you guys. I know some of you may not have actually met me. My name is Jeffrey Jones. I am the development manager overseeing this Concord Wind project here in Bureau County. I have with me Julie Drennan.
Hi.
Who is our development outreach manager. She'll talk a little bit about what we're doing in the community and what we're looking to do in the community over the next couple of years and through the life of the project. We also have Dana Livingston, our land agent. I think most, if not all of you, know him or have dealt with him. Yeah, that's our team. Hopefully you've had great interactions with Dana. I know you have. But that's our team, and so we'll give you a quick little update on the project. There has not been a ton of updates, but we do have a few for you guys. We'll talk a little bit about kind of what's to come here in the near future. And actually I see a few people walking in, so I'm gonna wait 1 minute here. Okay, so I'll keep going. Again, here's our team, myself, Julie, Dana didn't want to provide a picture.
There's food there, and there's cokes and pots and water and everything else.
And we're just starting the presentation, so fix your dinner, grab a seat, and thank you all. So who we are, RWE Clean Energy. I think most of y'all have heard who we are, know who we are. But one update here to RWE is that, as you know, we've been around we just celebrated our 125-year anniversary, a couple months ago?
Yeah.
And recently, as of this year, we actually acquired Con Edison Clean Energy out of New York. Con Ed brings a large solar pipeline to match our large wind pipeline. We're now currently, after that acquisition, fourth largest renewable energy company in America, and I believe third in the world as well. So, that acquisition really brought a lot to our company and has really provided us with some large goals here moving forward.
And it nearly doubled our staff, so in the US, so it's quite a big
Yeah, we're
acquisition.
roughly 1,500 employees in all here in America,
Yep.
Under the RWE umbrella. So RWE in North America, we've been active here since 2006. Our goal is to develop, own, and operate for the lifetime of the project. So from development through the 30 years of the operations. We own and operate over 3,000 turbines safely in 7 states. We actually have 3 operating wind projects in Illinois. We have Radford's Run in Macon County. We have Settlers Trail in Iroquois County and Pioneer Trail in Iroquois, Ford County. So currently do have 3 operational projects that are running as smoothly as can be, and really proud of those and hoping to add this one to that list. We do have over 30 operational wind projects across the U.S. The majority of our wind is in Texas, but we do have some in Ohio, New York,
Indiana,
Indiana, soon to be Indiana.
Yeah, well, there's an old one there too,
Okay,
Wildcat.
yep. Oh yeah, Wildcat, yep. So one in Indiana, and then we're currently greenfielding throughout Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, Iowa, all across the Midwest. So hoping to add several projects to the pipeline. And where that becomes important is that this project is important because of our goal to hit 25 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2035. So we have some lofty goals, and we hope this can be part of meeting that goal. So Bureau County and wind energy. Why does wind work here? Really the first and foremost is the wind. We look for wind speeds of 7 meters per second or greater in order to really kick off or to find the beginning stages of a wind project, and that's met here. Transmission, existing regional transmission lines with available capacity. Also, we're able to meet that one here. Land space, open contiguous fields, fewer obstructions to building a wind farm. That we're seeing that if you look at this beautiful county. And then community interest, positive responses from landowners. And that's you guys, and that's, really you guys make the projects happen. It's not on us. We need community buy-in, we need landowner support, and that's why we wanted to get you all together to help build that support and really keep that moving forward. This project in and of itself, quick little overview, we are proposing a 200 megawatt wind farm in the southwest part of the county. Project would consist of approximately 46 turbines. We're looking at probably a 4.5 megawatt machine. Again, to get 200 megawatts out of that, we're looking at 45 turbines or so. This would give us, this would produce enough electricity to power 60,000 homes annually. And we're currently still in the development and study phase, which we'll show you in a few slides, kind of a timeline of development and how these projects work, and we can dive into that a little bit more. One new kind of update is the planned construction. I do believe, so this project was kicked off, I believe in early 2020 under a prior developer. At that point in time, you were probably told we were looking at a 2024 commercial operations date. As part of our transmission operator, which is PJM, and their queue reform, we've been delayed, and that new timeline is really more in the 26 construction, 27 operations date. So that's one kind of new update for y'all that may be new to you, and again, glad we could do that. Just to give you a little bit more insight on from the prior slide, which talked about the transmission line. So the transmission line we're looking at is it runs at the southern part of the county line. It's Kewanee to Hennepin. It's a ComEd line, 138 kilovolt. So I do think your property is a little farther north than what we were talking about earlier. But that's the line we're looking to tap into with this wind farm. And again, just to give you a little bit of idea on this 4.5 megawatt turbine machine, with a machine that size, you're looking at a tip height of roughly 590 foot. You're looking at a rotor diameter of roughly 490 foot. So it's a big machine, but again, it's allowing us a smaller number, so there's not as many out there, but still producing that 200 megawatts that we're looking for. This is just a quick snapshot really of our area of interest. So again, you can see we're in the southwest corner. We're looking to tap into this transmission line running across the southern part of the county. We do have one village here in Neponset that we do, there is a 1.5 mile setback around this village that we will not be able to put any above ground infrastructure on. So that's, part of something that we have to consider throughout the process. But really we have great interest in the project, kind of running down over here, kind of south of Neponset, a little bit north and a little bit west. Still kind of working our way east, but trying to gain some traction out there and really get some more land on board. We currently have a little over 12,000 acres signed. For a 200 megawatt project, ideally, we'd like to sign 20,000. So if you have any neighbors, anyone else interested, please give them our information and pass it along. But I know Dana's been on the phones, we've been knocking on doors and really trying to get to that number so that we can kind of kick off the next phase of this project. That leads us right into this. Here, this is kind of a project timeline and life cycle of a project. Starting with market assessment, we would call that greenfielding. That's where we go in, look for wind speeds, open contiguous land, see if there's community interest, and then start to sign leases. So we're still in this phase, but that's the initial phase. The next one would be your feasibility studies. Again, we're still leasing land. We begin a little bit of permitting. This is not county permitting. This would be permitting to get into the queue, which would be to basically put your project in line to put power on the grid. One of the next big things that we'll be kicking off here is our environmental studies. I'm planning on initiating those probably at the end of the year to kick off early next year. That's a big, big part of these projects. And really this environmental studies, you're gonna do those over a 2 to 3 year period. So we do need to get those kicked off here relatively soon, but we're falling right in line with our timeline. Another update for you guys is the meteorological towers installed. We put up 2 MET towers and 1 LiDAR unit out here in December. We had quite the process of going through for permitting of those. You may have heard or seen about it, but we got those permitted and those are up collecting data. We're really looking for wind speed and direction. That's going to be a big part of helping us get a design and a layout of where these turbines are going to go, which unfortunately we still don't know today, but I'm hoping in a 1.5 years or so we'll have the beginnings of a preliminary layout where we can really start to get your guys' input and let you know where we think these things are going to go, and really that's when the real information coming to you guys is going to start kind of at that point in time. And while we're doing all this, again, we're going through interconnection studies, which again is what I was telling you all has basically been put on pause under the PJM queue reform and has really pushed out our operations date. So this is really where we are today. Market assessment, feasibility studies. To come in the future, siting and off-take. Again, you'll notice one thing, we're leasing land throughout all phases of the process. Because land does take the longest, and like I told you, we're at 12,000, shooting for 20,000, so We still have some room to go, but we'll be leasing land throughout the entirety of the development process. But also during siting and offtake, that's when you'll begin your preliminary engineering, start to talk with off-takers about power purchase agreements and negotiations around that. We'll begin to procure turbine and components. Again, I told you earlier, we're looking at roughly a 4.5 megawatt machine. Being that this is a 2027 project, and with the increase in technology of these turbines, it could be taller, could be bigger at that point in time. But what we're seeing today in our current projects, and those projects that are to be built sooner rather than later, is roughly a 4.5 megawatt machine. So just wanted to give you an idea of where we are today, but also with some knowledge that in the future they could grow and get bigger and have a larger output. So that'll happen at that point in time. And again, we'll continue our environmental studies and continue getting data from our Met towers and our LiDAR. After that, we'll seek financing, continue procuring components, continue PPA negotiations, continue talking with our interconnect, so with PJM and with ComEd, and again, keep collecting that Met data. That Met tower data, we're looking for 2 to 3 years of data. So at the end of this year, we'll get really our first full year of data. That is gonna kick off a few next steps in the process. We'll layer that on top of the leased land. We wouldn't have kicked off environmental studies, but really, and I'll show you this later, it's a layering of all this data on top of each other and determining where your final turbine locations are gonna be. Setbacks, environmental studies, wind speeds, leased land, connecting leased land, all of these things go into play in determining really your final layout. So you can see we still have some work to do. We are in a good spot today. I feel really confident in where we are. It's really just a matter of getting some more land on board, connecting our land so that we can initiate really some of these next phases. So we did go into construction, again, probably begin construction 2026, starting with roads and foundations. Construction normally takes, it says 12 to 18 months. I've been told really closer to 12 months. They try to do it as quickly as possible. Get in, get out, make as little of a mess as possible, and make sure we're getting everything back to where it was before we started. After construction, land reclamation and repairs. I know that's a concern. Drainage tile, all that, again, covered in our lease, and something we can talk about to make sure everyone understands that process and what goes into that. And then lastly, we go into operations. Wind farm is operating, COD date, commercial operations date, start generating electricity, and again, we're here for 30 years, so we want to make sure y'all are happy with us and that we really have a good relationship over that 30 years. It needs to start now, and that's again one of the reasons we're doing this today.
Feel free to have some food.
Yeah, please grab some food if you'd like. So supporting Bureau County communities. I think this is one thing that sometimes gets lost, but something that I wanted to make sure to reiterate here is how can we support communities? We're committed to protecting safety and welfare of the community over the lifetime of the project. We want to hire local to the extent possible during construction. We will have 4 to 6 full-time employees out here during the operations period, sorry. So we will have a O&M building where our 4 to 6 employees are out here 7 days a week. If any mishaps happen, you'll have their number, be able to contact them, go to the building, make sure that your problems are fixed in due time. We want to be a good community partner through the chamber memberships, since we are part of the Princeton Chamber of Commerce and supporting local groups and events. That's one thing we're currently trying to do is be of support, hand out donations. We want to be part of the community. We don't want to be an absentee business here. We really want to become part of the community. So if anyone has any events coming up and is looking for a sponsor or anything, please let us know. We're always looking to be part of that. And then regular communication with stakeholders. We may have failed a little bit on this over the past couple of years, but I'm happy to re-engage everyone, get everyone together, and really plan to do more of this moving forward. And making sure you're up to date on what's going on, that you have a chance to ask us questions. Make sure you have our information, we have your information, and just make sure there's a line of communication here. A little bit more here. I have kind of some expectations to kind of set for Bureau County, but also I have some real life numbers from our Radford's Run project of, again, how we can support the community here. You're looking at 200 plus temporary jobs during the construction period, again, 4 to 6 long-term jobs, like I mentioned. Estimated $45 million in tax revenue to the county and townships over the life of the project, and estimated $25+ million in landowner payments over the life of that project. And to give you a little bit of, some accurate numbers from a currently operating project, our Radford Road project in Macon County, to this date, it's been operational for, I think, going on 5 years now. They paid over $1.5 million in development payments to landowners. They've paid over $6 million in operational payments up to this point. Over $3 million a year to the county via property taxes. And those taxes are going to, really some important places. 5 fire departments, 3 libraries, 4 different townships, 6 school districts. So there's a lot of benefits of these projects that kind of gets lost sometimes, and wanted to make sure that we can highlight how we can really not only help landowners, but really the community as a whole. $20 million on local labor, that was during the construction process, and spent $20 million to upgrade over 80 miles of roads. Another kind of forgotten aspect of these projects is upgrading of roads. It can be a lot, and that's just an indication of what was done at one of our operational projects. So we definitely update and maintain some roads around here as part of this.
And this next section is kind of a high level, just going over developing a wind farm, like how Jeffrey did the timeline. We might not need to go into like a ton of detail on this.
Sure, yeah.
And then I think we'll turn it over to you, because I know some of you want specific updates on the project beyond this high level aspect. So, yeah, we'll just go into this kind of overview.
Yeah, this will just be real quick here. So this is kind of how we start. We're looking for, again, wind speed 7 meters per second and above. We'll find them, draw a box around them. Again, then go do our desktop due diligence. Is it open contiguous land? What's the county's ordinance, which is now under the state siting bill? Is the county pro renewable energy? Are they against renewable energy? Do a little bit of digging, and then we'll take this boundary and start to reach out to landowners. So we'll start signing land, and you can see here's your, and this isn't this project, this is just an example. So here's your project, the green boxes are signed land, and really what this is indicating is that really that initial boundary, it's a living boundary. If we're getting interest in the southwest part of our initial boundary, we may move that boundary, and it may start to focus in a different area. So it is a kind of living, breathing boundary, and we go where the landowners go. Where's the interest? Are we able to connect these parcels? And again, we're trying to stick within those wind speeds, because that is obviously of utmost importance, but we're gonna go kind of where the landowners go. And you'll see here, that initial boundary, I'll just go back real quick, started like that, and then moved like that due to the landowner interest and the community interest. As we continue to do that, we start to really consider setbacks, exclusionary zones. These are county agreements and ordinance. Are you assigned, are you participating, or are you not participating? Where are residents, where are roads, right-of-ways, utilities, railroads, communication beams, other structures, and then really it's following the setbacks under the new Illinois state siting bill, which I could run through them if you wanted me to. Really, I think of most importance is from our participating residents, we're now 1.1 times the tip height of the turbine. That's the distance that we have to stay away from the participating residents with our tower. Non-participating, we're at 2.1 times the tip height.
But that's the standard, but it doesn't mean that that's exactly where we're gonna go.
That's right.
Yeah, and because our internal is 1250.
That's right. Our internal standards are roughly 1250, which would be roughly 2 times the tip height. So it's possible we could be a little less, but I do think our internal standards are a little higher than what the state has set out. I wouldn't hold us to that. It is possible that we go under the internal 1250 standard, but obviously we'll not go less than the 1.1 times the tip height that the state's required.
Yeah, and we do. We have a senior developer. So Oliver told me, in a nearby, like different wind farm in Illinois, that a lot of them were only on 1250 just because of once you consider shadow flicker and sound and all that, it ends up being farther.
Correct. And then kind of what you see here is why I was saying we look to sign 20,000 acres. after you layer over leased land, some of the green dots, and then all of this pink is exclusionary zone. So whether it's a setback from a residence, a right of way, maybe it's an environmental study that said you need to be a mile away from this bird or bat habitat. Once we layer all of these studies over each other, over our leased land, you'll see where this final, the white is kind of your final buildable area. That's where your highest wind speeds are. That's where a turbine can go. So it gives you an idea of why we need so much land, because it dwindles down to, really kind of 2,000 to 3,000 acres of possible locations out of that 20,000 acres. So really important that we keep leasing land and get as much on board to give us as much of an opportunity to make this project come to fruition. And that's kind of, really the presentation. I didn't want this to be all about the presentation. I really wanted to take this opportunity again to thank you for being part of this project, for kind of believing in us. Wanted to get back to you. I know I haven't met a lot of you. I took over this project roughly a year and a half ago from a prior developer. Have really been putting a lot of time into this and haven't had a chance to meet a lot of you. So wanted that opportunity today. Would gladly like to give you a chance to ask some questions if you have any. Hopefully we can answer them. If not, we'll make sure and get answers for you. But again, thank you very much for believing in us, for being part of this project, and glad you could all come. And with that,